Well, hello and welcome back to Gearhead Geeks, where in this video we are going to be changing the rear tire on an H2 using a Rabaconda tire changer. We do this a lot. This H2 has a tendency to rip up rear tires. This particular rear tire is a transition tire. When I say transition, where I live, the winters are brutal. And every road going in and out of this area has got sand and gravel on it. And so you really can't be railing around corners or doing anything like that. Now it is finally warmed up and the roads are finally starting to get clear, and now you can go on ahead and be able to ride at a decent pace. So the tire I use on this is not as grippy as the others. It will wear a little bit better. So I lucked out and I got about 3,000 miles out of this tire, which isn't bad. But now we're back to our regular sport tire. We're going to put our Pilot Power 6 on it. So stay tuned, and we're going to use the Rabaconda, and I'm going to try and go through this not only to remove the tire and everything from the H2, but from using the Rabaconda a few times, I've learned a few things, and I'm going to try and point them out to make it easier if you decide to get one, to make it easier to use this thing. Hopefully it'll be a really super smooth process. So stay tuned and we'll get to it. So the first thing we need to do is we need to remove this part of the pipe on the H2, which has a couple of covers here, and the pipe will come off, and then we can get at the actual lug nuts on the wheel. This bike uses lug nuts, so it makes it fairly easy. There's no real special tool involved to get the rear wheel off. So first things first is we just need to remove these covers. And they're fairly easy to do. And this cover just kind of pops off. Get over here. This one has a couple of screws in it. One and another one down here. Okay, and then it slides off, and that's all it takes to do that. This is pretty well engineered. So now, to get this off, you've got a clamp and just one hanger. And we'll get the clamp loose. We use a 10 millimeter, is all that it needs. Loosen up the clamp. Then we can take a 6 millimeter Allen and a 12 millimeter wrench and just we'll give this a quick loosening with the nut, and the nut comes off. Put it with the rest of the stuff so it doesn't get lost. And the pipe can now come off. And that's it. So now it leaves us with our rear wheel open to get done. So I've already set up a impact wrench, and let me get some air to it. Okay, and we got air going to it. Put it on reverse, and all you got to do is just they pop right off. There's washers underneath this, so that needs to be dealt with. On this bike, you really don't want to lose any washers. You don't want to lose anything. So there go the washers, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And here is the wheel. It's actually really pretty light. And I probably should have let the air out first, but that's okay. So it's off the bike, and then we got to get it ready for the Rabaconda. So I will set up the camera over there, and we'll go from there. So now we're going to get ready to change the tire with the Rabaconda. One of the best things you can do is get everything out and ready where you need it. All the duck heads and all the other stuff, so you can just kind of grab it and use it. So I'm going to go through from where I store my Rabaconda, because it folds up. You can disassemble it and put it in a bag, but I just kind of fold it up, lay it up against the side over here so it's ready to go, because I change a lot of tires. So we'll go ahead and get it out and ready, and then we'll go through the procedure of getting things set up. I'm not here to do it in super fast time. I'm trying to make it just as easy as possible so you can see what's going on. So I store the Rabaconda over here, right here, and it's folded up, and then I can just go on ahead, pull it out, and do nothing more than set it here. There's on the back, you get the back leg out, and it is ready to go at that point. So one of the first things that I did here is I bought from Rabaconda this adapter, and it is supposed to, and I say supposed to, I've never tried it. This is the first time I've even looked at it, to be honest with you. It is supposed to be able to adapt the one-sided swing arm so you can use it on a balancer and you can use it on the tire machine as well. Using it, it's not really that necessary to use it on the tire machine because there's a little cone that will hold the tire, but this looks like it would hold the wheel a lot better, and they say you can use it for that. So let's go on ahead and I'll roll the tire over here and we'll take a look and see how this works. And I need to adjust the camera so you can see what I'm doing. All right. I think I've got a good enough angle here to where you can see. So what I'm going to do here, it looks like this thing can go on two ways. You can, if you look at this, it's got two sides to it, and there's a narrower side and a wider side, and it looks like the wider side is what we need to be able to touch this machine surface here, and the other side has got the same, it's going to be touching a machine surface there, and hopefully it will go on ahead and capture it in the center. We will see. What I did before to make it work, I took a piece of aluminum and cut it the same size as the inner hub in there, and that allowed it to center. So far, this thing looks like it's centering okay. It's not moving around, it's sturdy, so that looks good. So let's see how this goes. I'm going to move the camera again so we're pointing at the Rabaconda. Okay. And there we go. So now, what we need to do is we'll take this, we'll put it on the post. When it does fit, because I never even checked to see if it fits. And so far, so good. It looks like everything is fitting okay. It's really nice and tight. That's really good. So now the next thing we need to do is we need to get the air out of this thing. And I just so happen to have a handy dandy core remover. There's all sorts of core removers, but one big long ones with handles on them, they really do work well. So the next thing we need to do is break the bead on the tire. Now that's easier said than done. The Rabaconda has a pretty good system for doing that. It's got this device that you use to ratchet everything off, and it's got this little bead breaker here. The problem is that if you lubricate this thing first, the tire wants to slip in underneath it. So I'm going to leave it dry a little bit anyway, at least to the point where I get it kind of started. Then I can put some soapy water in it. And I've got just nothing more than some Dawn and some water. And we'll see how that goes. So you put this thing in, and it does have an index, so it kind of will hold it in place. And then what you want to do is adjust it, and it's probably adjusted. See, it's a little low at the moment. And the reason it's low is the last time I used it on the H2, but the holder didn't hold it as nicely as this. So far this adapter thing is really working out well. So we loosen this up a little bit, and we just bring this up to where it is just going to miss the rim. That's what you want it to. It's got to be really, really close to the rim. And there it is. So we'll tighten that up. Okay. Now we can just go on ahead and push on it. And it is looking like it's going to break that bead extremely easy. And that was almost no issue at all. And the bead is broken. Okay. So the trick to that is making sure that it's dry, making sure this is as close to the rim as possible, and the wheel is held in as close as possible. Now you can roll this back and slide it off. I'll be honest, I really like this adapter. Okay, then we're going to take and flip it over, put it back on, and we'll break the other side. And again, here we are getting it as close as possible. It's basically touching the rim. And look at that, it just popped it loose. No sweat at all. Didn't even need any lube. Okay, so our bead is broken. And now what we can do is we can go on ahead and remove the tire. Now, removing the tire on the Rabaconda requires the duck head adapter. And the duck head adapter is, it's a pretty good deal. It works pretty well. I've used it, like I said, I've used it a few times, and it does a fairly good job. Okay, the Rabaconda comes with some pretty good instructions. It's got a nice instruction manual. It's heavily constructed, so it's not, it's gonna last. Anyway, and I follow the instructions for the most part. When you get one of these, just go on ahead and read through it like you're reading a novel. And then don't try and do it when you're working on it. Just read it like a novel and then go back to it, because your brain will pick this stuff up, say, oh yeah, I remember reading that. So, little tip for that. So the first thing that they tell you to do here is you take your duck head and you put it at the 12 o'clock position, okay? And the reason they tell you to do that, so it's a little easier to work with, because you're going to end up rotating it. But you need to get this thing so it's sitting on the rim, right up against the rim. No slack whatsoever. And again, this adapter is making life really easy to do that. Okay, then what they tell you to do is take and rotate it to the 6 o'clock position. And it makes sense, because what's going to happen here is you need to make sure that the duck head is down here, so you can push this into the drop center. And the drop center is the center of the rim where the tire can go in, and that makes it have enough room to do things. Now, one of the things that you do need to do is make sure that if we're working here at 6 and 12 o'clock, make sure your filler valve is at 3 or 9, either one. So we'll just do that. So our filler valve is now at the 3 o'clock position. Our duck head is sitting at 6 o'clock, and this if this was if this tire was going to be really tight, you could take this guy. Let you put it in there, and you could push this against this and get it into the drop center. And that makes it so that at least you can get things started. So how do you get things started on this? Which is a fairly simple operation. They give you a big old long tire iron. Now this one had a plastic cover on it, but the plastic cover kind of broke. So that's one thing they do need to work on. Here's the duck head right here. And what they tell you to do is just take this guy right here, put it on the head of the duck, and make sure you're in the drop center. And once you're in the drop center, you can fairly easily take this, fold it over. The tire is on its way out at the moment. It's locked in. Now you take this guy, and you can what we'll do here though, before we even do anything, we're going to give this a bit of a spray of soapy water. Let's just make our life easy. Now to mount it, we're going to use something else, a tire grease. Rabaconda gives you some. I've got some Murphy's that I use, which is either way. But anyway, we'll give it a little bit of a squirt. Don't make a mess, just a little bit of a squirt. And now we can go on ahead and ratchet off our, let's get this, we can roll this around to a better position. Okay, I just want to make sure we're there. And now we can, oops, one more thing. Forgot one more thing. There is a pin right here that they give you, and you can put that in here to keep the tire from rotating. Boom. And if you have spokes or something like that, they give you a strap that you can use. So anyway, the tire's not going to rotate. We're lubricated all the way around. We've already broken this open. So all that we need to do now is go on ahead and rotate the tire off. And here we go. And it's just as simple as that. That's done. I mean, there was almost no effort at all. So now we still have to go do the other side. And that's basically the same operation. You just take it, make sure everything's in the drop center over here. And then you take your tire iron, get it in there, and roll it over, pop it in, and we will go on ahead and do the exact same thing. Tire done. So that is a really simple, no sweat operation, no problems at all. We're in good shape. Okay, I'm going to go clean up a few things. I've got the tire sitting outside in the sun, so it's nice and soft. I'm going to get this cleaned up a little bit, and we'll go on ahead and install the tire. Okay, I'm back, and this tire has been sitting outside in the sun, and the sun's a little brutal at the moment. This thing's almost hot to the touch, so these stickers usually are just a super pain to get off. Just peel off with nothing. And again, that's what you want. Now what I do with the stickers is I'm going to mark the mileage of the bike on each of these, and I save them as I go along so I can see what kind of mileage I get when I change the tires. But we'll get these out of the way for now. Now, the first thing you need to do before you do anything is determine which way your tire needs to be mounted on there. It's important, and it seems like a trivial fact, but you really, really need to make sure, because if you do it wrong, then you got to take it all apart and do it again. So, in this particular instance, we know, because this is the back of the wheel, and I do that, it's on the back of the wheel because this pin can hit this spoke very easily. If I turn the wheel over, it can miss, and then it makes it a big headache to get things going. But we don't need to worry about that too much. So what we're going to do here is we're going to use something called tire grease. Now, Rabaconda offers it. There's a Murphy's tire grease, which I already had before I bought the Rabaconda. So I'm going to use that. And this is just nothing more than tire and tube mounting compound. And when it dries, it's sticky, so you don't end up having your tires slip on the rim. It really, really works well. And so what you need to do here first is we're going to establish which way it turns. So we know that in our world, it turns counterclockwise this way. Because if we look at it, we can see it. And I believe probably somewhere on this thing it's actually marked, which I don't see it at the moment, but it goes this way. Okay, so what we need to do is find the sticker, or not the sticker, but there's a little arrow around here somewhere. And so here it is right here. I don't know if you can see it, but it says rear, so it says it's going this way. So we know that we need to mount our tire this way, so it's going counterclockwise. The rear is now pointing this way, and here's it. Oh, and it's got it on both sides. That's cool because a lot of tires don't have rear on both sides, but this one does. So that makes it a little easier. So we know that we're turning this way. The arrow's pointing this way. We know we've got it right. So the next thing that we need to do is go on ahead and I'll go open up the Murphy's tire thing. I should have opened that up before. And we will then go on ahead and mount up this tire. Okay. So now, I've got a little bit of this Murphy's here, and got a little brush that you put it on with. And you want to go on ahead and go around your bead. Let me get this up in the air so you can see what I'm doing a little bit. And you just take it and apply it. You don't have to be super liberal, but the stuff is pretty slick. Now I'm putting on the back side because we know that our tire is going to go this way. And it just doesn't even hurt to triple check. And here's our rear thing, and it's pointing counterclockwise. And again, I'll do the same thing on this, so we don't have to mess around too much. Okay. Now, when using the Rabaconda, the difference in putting on a tire and taking off a tire is you want to start at have the duck head at the 12 o'clock position. And it's just easier to work with. So the first thing you want to do is get this on the rim. Now, what you can do in most cases, and in this case, hopefully, you can just slide the other bead on, the other side on. You don't need to do too much to get it going. You don't need to use the tire changer part to do that. And I'm going to make sure there's enough stuff on this to do the job easily. We don't want to have issues while I'm trying to show you. Okay, so the next thing you need to do is you take this and you put it over the duck head. And they kind of show you what to do, but it kind of looks like that. Well, wait a minute. Get here, and you put that over the duck head. Okay, and then what you want to do is push the tire on as much as you can. In this case, we did pretty good. And then, if you get the kit, you get these tire holder things. You can also get these off of Amazon. You can get a set of 4 for a lot cheaper than what you can at Rabaconda, but they're probably not as good as the Rabaconda ones. But anyway, what these do is hold the tire down, and they really work well to do that. You just take it, you can push it on, and there you go. You've got that thing held on there pretty good. Now, all that we need to do is roll the tire on. So here we go. We have put it over the top of the duck head. We've put our piece in here. We got this pretty close to the drop center, which is good. And now we can just take this guy And we'll just roll that tire on. Things out of the way here. I got too much stuff in the way, but let's take this and roll. Even using my left hand, which is not the greatest at. And the tire is on. That is the end of it. That was just basically super simple. No issues whatsoever. It did the job easily. Now we can get this loose. We can pull the duck head out of there. And we can go on ahead and inflate the tire. That was dead simple. So let's go on ahead. We can get this out of the way. The tire is on. We've made no mess. We're not even working up a sweat, and it's fairly warm in here. So the next thing I'm going to do, we'll take this off, flip it over. We'll put the valve core back in it, and we'll put some air in this. Okay, so here in our valve core, right here, it's kind of hiding. And again, using this long tool makes it really easy to put this stuff in. So the next thing we need to do is get the bead seated, and that tire grease really helps with that. And so first thing, let me get this out of the way. Not making a mess. Having to step over anything. We'll put our tire grease away and get an air hose. Pop on our filler valve. Tire filler. Getting the camera. And we'll just go on ahead and start filling the tire. And what we need it to do is have both these pop. And it's going to pop here real quick, hopefully. Almost, almost. And I'm going to check the pressure here and make sure that we're not overdoing it. You really don't want to get much over 55 pounds or something like that. And we're only at 40 pounds. That's fine. There's one. Two. Okay, so bead is on. Now the next thing we need to do is use an accurate tire gauge if you can. Now, in this particular instance, this tire, the H2 wants 42 pounds in the rear. 41 or 42. So what we do is, we're at about 46. And I'm going to put this at about 40. I run about a pound underneath because it's hot around here and I don't like it to be too overinflated. A pound doesn't make that much difference, but it just gives me a little leeway. And that's 40 pounds. Now, again, use a good gauge. This is a Snap-on Blue Point, and it has been accurate no matter what. It's been checked quite a few times over the years, and it always is accurate. So that's just my preference. So now we've got our 40 pounds in there. And now that the compressor stopped, we can go on ahead. We're going to remove the wheel and we're going to set it up on the balancer. So I'm going to move the camera around and get this over to the balancer. We are going to leave our Rabaconda adapter in there because that makes life easy to use the balancer on this one-sided swing arm. Most wheels you do not have to use that, but if you have like an H2 or a Ducati or something with a single-sided swing arm, it's really, really hard to get the balancer set up. The H2, Kawasaki has a special tool that you bolt on to it, and that's a big pain and it's expensive, and this is much better. So we'll go set up our balancer. And I'll just pull this guy off of here. And as a matter of fact, what we're going to do is we'll take this, move our tire out of the way, and then to show you, just take this, fold it up, and I turn it around so that nothing's sticking out. And my Rabaconda is put away. I'm done. Okay, what I've done is I've taken this is a balancer and a truing stand also. It works pretty well as a truing stand. It works really well as a balancer. So the first thing you need to do, I'm going to try and get this in the camera's view. Maybe I'll have to move a little bit of stuff here, which I think I'll do. Is we need to get this onto our wheel. So let me see how this works. Oh yeah, you can see that. Okay. So basically what you do is the balancer has this shaft and some cones in it. So all that you need to do is using it. This has got a 3 millimeter Allen on it, and this has got a double piece on it, which you don't need. This is for when you're truing a wheel with spokes. It keeps this shaft from moving back and forth. You can just set it up against something. But for this, we don't need it. What we do need to do is put this through here. Put the other cone on. Hold it really nice and tight. Kind of hard to show you, but I'm holding the cone in really nice and tight and using a 3 millimeter Allen. And I like to use these with the swivel head on it. Makes it a lot easier to deal with than just some Allen wrench. You get the cone in there nice and tight. Make sure that your adapter is good and tight. Everything is tight there. And now what we're going to do is we're going to set this on the bearings. Okay. And I'm going to move the camera up a little bit. Let's move it in so you can see a little better. And I'm going to give this a spin, and I want to look at the rim. And the rim is running perfectly true. It is just, this adapter is working perfect. If it was wobbling in and out a little bit, that would not be a huge problem, but going this way would be a very huge problem. You could never get it to balance right. This thing is working absolutely perfectly. This little Rabaconda adapter, if you have a single-sided swing arm, is money well spent. Okay, so we spin. We're spinning with the greatest of ease. So I'm going to slow this down a little bit. And let's see where our heavy spot is. I have not removed any of the weights that were on there before. Okay, now let's just get it slowed down a little bit. And as you can see, I don't know if you can see it, but we've got a lot of weights in here. So we know it's out of balance. So we're not going to, it does us no good to keep on fiddling with it. I'm just going to remove all the weights that are on it. And the bad part is, or good part, I guess, I don't know, is Michelin tires, which don't have a marking for a heavy spot. not that I found anyway. Nobody's ever found one. They even talked about it. For a light spot, and the spot that you would put on your where the valve stem is. So now we can go find our real heavy spot. I'm going to turn this a quarter of a turn from where it was, and you can see it just goes right back to it here, and then now it's going to go back the other way, and guess what? We have established our heavy spot, and it is right here. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to put a weight 180 degrees from that. So it's right here. So we'll just take this, we'll move this up to top. I'll keep my finger on it. All right, and this is the spot that we want to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this weight on here. Bad part about doing it this way, it kind of has a tendency to flake on your paint a little bit, which is not nice. But we'll see how we do. All right, so now we're going to move that heavy spot, and we can still see we're still heavy. Let's see where that, if it's changed. No, it hasn't. It's pretty much the same. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab a 10 here. I put a 20 on there. We'll put a 10 on it. See how that goes. Let's see if that made any difference. We'll move it to 90 degrees. And we're still heavy. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to remove that 10, and I'm going to put a 20 in its place. And just take that, and we'll pop the weight on. Okay, let's try that. Move it to 90 degrees, and it is just about perfect. Over here, 90 degrees, get almost no movement out of it. Maybe a little bit, but not much. It's just, no, it's not moving. Okay, move it to this 90 degrees. Nothing. Move it up, oop, this 90 degrees. That was a little off. Nothing. 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 So, we are balanced. Make sure your weights are in place. Wheel is balanced. We changed our tire, we did our wheel, and really it's no sweat. We haven't really done anything that, caused a lot of grief or whatever. So I will go on ahead, get this off of here, and then we'll go on ahead and put it back on the motorcycle. And here's a little something that all H2 owners need to be aware of. These big nuts that hold the whole thing into your single-sided swing arm, they can loosen up. And that's not a good thing. So what you need to do is, I'm not going to go through the whole torque routine, but basically what you need to do is loosen them up, and then you tighten them down to 162 pounds of torque. Then you break it loose again, and you go to 188. And now we're going to go into the 188 foot-pounds of torque. This can be a little dicey. I've got everything in a good position, but you got to make sure that you're in good shape. I've got a socket on the other side with a big breaker bar holding it down, and so we are in pretty good condition. Now, this thing has not come loose. Oh, boy, it's in good shape, and that's what we want. And we are at 188 foot-pounds. perfect. Okay, it's now time to put our rear wheel back on the bike. We have gone on ahead, we've remounted a new tire on it, we've gone on ahead and balanced it. So what we're going to do, oh yes, and we've also checked to make sure this is still tight and at torque, which it is, it's perfect. And it did not come loose. And so now, all we need to do is put on our wheel and the pipe and all that stuff. So very simply, you just go on ahead and slide it on, just like that. We got 5 washers. Get all 5 of those on. We're going to do something a little bit different. I could use a torque wrench on this, which I usually do, but I've got something that I double and triple check these guys on my cars, and they're called torque sticks, and I'll show you here in a minute. And they are very accurate. They do an accurate job of torquing down, and they're great for wheels, and that's what we're going to use. I trusted enough to do that. So anyway, these are what you call torque sticks. Let me get this open. And I've got a whole set of them. They're all different sizes. It goes from 65, 75, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120, 130, 140, and 150 foot-pounds. And they've been in use for many, many years. A lot of tire shops use them, and they do work well. So I have a 80 foot-pound torque wrench here. This guy needs 80, or torque stick here with a 17 millimeter socket. And we are just going to go on ahead, wind them in. It's so much easier than winding them in and fiddling around with with the torque wrench, which is not a big deal, but now you don't have to hold it or do anything. So we'll get this going in the right direction. And we'll just kind of spin this on gently. But now all that you do is give it a shot. It stops turning. Then we go to the other side. And when it stops, it's done. And it just abruptly stops. It will not go any further. And we'll just check them. And we are done. And then what we're going to do is put the pipe back on. And that was just dead simple. These things work awesome. They really, really do. And again, you can go check it with the torque wrench. They'll be right on target. Okay, well, let's get ready to put the pipe back on. And once I put it back on, I'm going to go on ahead and put a little polish on it because the covers kind of cover over where you had the polish. So we'll go on ahead and do that. But this is a real simple operation on an H2. You just take this and slide this on. You get it in about the right position. And put the bolt through. Get the nut on there finger tight. Now the reason I say finger tight is you just want to get it so that it moves around a little bit. And the reason you want to do that is you want to tighten down this clamp, but you don't want to over tighten it. The clamp right here, and this clamp, so we can see the pipe is moving around fairly freely. So you take this and you just start winding it in. This is a 10 millimeter, 8 millimeter bolt with a 10 millimeter head, which is a small size for that. But then you just take it and wind it in, and you start snugging it down until it tightens up. Now, you can still see this is moving a little bit easily. So what you want to do is you want to get it relaxed, and you want to take it, and you want to make sure it doesn't do that. So you just keep on winding it until the pipe feels like it's tight, and it's getting tighter. And now the pipe is tight. the movement what we're getting is just the whole motorcycle moving. So that's all you need to do there. And then you can take your 12mm wrench and your 6mm, wind this down. Make sure everything's good and tight. So we're still moving a little bit. We still need to tighten it up just a bit. Let this find its natural position. We'll go on ahead and tighten this down more. And that took care of that. And I'm not using a big, giant size ratchet. This is actually a very, very small ratchet. It's basically a 1/4-inch ratchet with a 3/8 head on it. And that's the good part about Snap-on. You can go on ahead and take their 1/4-inch long ratchet and put in a 3/8 drive head. And I did this, 40, 50 years ago, and it has never failed me. I've used it for so much stuff. Anyway, so that's that. I'm going to do a little polishing on it. We'll put the covers back on it, and I'll come back after I'm done polishing. Well, polishing isn't all that interesting, but to get, it's hard to see, but there's kind of a brown oxidized layer right here. And the way to get that out is you can, there's a really, really good polish made by Yoshimura that takes it out instantly. But Autosol makes a stainless steel polish that takes a lot more elbow grease to get it done, but it does remove that eventually. So we'll just go on ahead and hit it and see how long it takes to get that out of there. Now, I know people don't like this exhaust, but it's very, very efficient. It is well engineered. It's a little heavy, but it's quiet. My neighbors don't hate me, and I ride this bike a lot. Like I said before, but I haven't said in this video, this bike's got 80,000 miles on it. I'm riding it a lot, and it has been nothing but a pleasure. It has been just a bulletproof motorcycle that has no problems. Yes, does it chew up tires? Absolutely. Does it chew up chains? Yep, absolutely. Is it a joy to ride? Nothing is more fun than an H2. Nothing. As far as riding a motorcycle. This thing is just so out of control and so much fun. But anyway, we'll give this pipe a bit of a wipe down here. And all that brown is pretty much gone. I could go a little further, but I don't really need to. It's good. It's looking good. Nice and shiny. Okay, so continuing on. The next thing you need to do is get the bottom cover on, and there's a little hook that this goes into, and it goes into the pipe over here. You just got to kind of, by the Braille method, kind of find it, and there it is, it's in. Then you take this, and you get it started. Take the other one, get it started. Back a little bit. Okay, started. And you take your 4mm, and we'll roll these guys in. Starting. The other 4mm in. So now we take this one, and if you look, there's a little pin right here. So that means it goes forward, and then you find where it goes in. And that wasn't it. Find where it goes in. It kind of snaps into place. Get this started. And we'll roll it in. And we are job done. So that is all it takes to change your rear tire on an H2 using the Rabaconda tire changer. The adapter from Rabaconda is money well spent. To be honest with you, the whole Rabaconda system is money well spent. I was a motorcycle mechanic in my younger days. Well, here, we'll just show a little bit of this. I can show you. But those are from factory schools, and I've lost a whole bunch of them. But those are some of the ones I have left. But anyway, I was a motorcycle mechanic. I was a motorcycle mechanic for well over a dozen years, and I've changed. We didn't have tire machines. We didn't have anything. I've changed them all by hand. On this bike, I have changed. I'm on my 26th rear tire. This is tire number 26 because the bike's got 80,000 miles on it. And so I've changed almost all of those by hand. And I finally, saw a Rabaconda commercial and decided, well, I think it's time. And that was money well spent. If you are changing tires and you're sick of paying somebody to do it. Now, I can't have anybody work on my stuff. It just drives me crazy. But if you're sick of having people having to take your tires off, run them down somewhere, and have to deal with paying something, after after a couple tire changes, the Rabaconda pays for itself pretty much. And then you're not relying on anybody. You can go in, change your tires. Yeah, the balancing machine, you can get one at Harbor Freight. I had one at Harbor Freight, but it was like $50 or something like that, and it worked great. I gave it to a friend of mine when I got this one because I need to do train stamps. But it's easy to do. This is not hard, and being able to change your own tires and not have to work up a big sweat when doing it, hey, it's worth its weight in gold. So we've got everything all changed. Bike is done. It's ready to ride because it might be a cool weekend, but I'm going to hit the road for about maybe 450 miles. And hopefully it's all fun. Now, with a good tire on it that's got a little more traction on it, I can start grinding in the corners. You just have to be careful on this thing, especially as you get down towards sea level, especially with this new supercharger gear in it, rolling out of a corner at over 100 miles an hour and just barely turning the throttle. The front wheel wants a lot. But that's half the fun. So anyway, see you next time. Please, please, please don't forget to subscribe. And we really appreciate it. And we will see you next time in the next video.